The twin suns of Zithera hung low over the horizon, casting long golden shadows across the crystalline spires of the capital city. The air shimmered with heat and the faint hum of energy from the city's floating circuits. From high above, Princess Lyra watched the bustling streets, her eyes sharp and calculating. She had been trained her whole life for this. Every moment, every movement, every thought devoted to one thing: becoming the greatest warrior the Tariq Empire had ever seen. Lyra stretched her arms and flexed her fingers, feeling the familiar thrill of anticipation ripple through her. Today she would make history. Today, she would show the galaxy exactly what a Tariq warrior could do. And she would do it in style, by defeating a human, a species considered weak, fragile, and predictable by almost every civilization that Tariq had ever encountered. Another human challenge, Lyra said softly, almost to herself, a smirk curling across her lips. Her voice was confident, carrying the calm arrogance of someone who had never known defeat. They never learn, do they? Around her, the palace's training hall shimmered with holographic combat simulations. Holographic enemies clashed and moved with near-perfect precision, designed to test a warrior's skills in every imaginable scenario. Lyra's elite warriors trained alongside her, following the princess's commands with flawless obedience. Yet none could match her speed, her focus, her instincts. None of them could even come close. "Princess," a voice said from behind. It was Commander Tariq, the palace's chief of defense. "The human has accepted your challenge. Their ship entered Zithera's orbit an hour ago. They are preparing to land." Lyra's smirk widened. "An hour ago? They dare step into my arena? How bold or foolish?" Her amber eyes gleamed. "Send a message to the arena. Prepare it for me. I want everything ready when this human arrives. No distractions, no delays. I will finish this in under a minute." Tariq bowed. "As you command, Princess Lyra." The human's arrival caused a stir across the capital. News broadcasts spread through Zithera's cities, projecting images of the approaching human ship. Citizens and soldiers alike were eager to witness what they assumed would be a swift, humiliating defeat. After all, humans were weak, fragile, unimaginative. They could survive in small pockets of space, but no human had ever defeated a Tariq warrior in direct combat. None. Meanwhile, light years away on a distant human colony orbiting the orange star Tarsus, Captain Alex Mercer read the same news with a mixture of curiosity and quiet amusement. Alex was tall, lean and well-muscled, with a soldier's discipline and a tactician's mind. Humans were not considered a major force in the galaxy, but Alex knew one thing: humans had an edge that no alien could predict: adaptability, ingenuity, and the willingness to do what others would never think of doing. Alex leaned back in his chair, studying the broadcast. Princess Lyra's confident tone, the arrogance dripping from every movement she made. It was almost too easy to predict. Almost. "Looks like I've got an overconfident opponent," Alex muttered to himself, a grin forming on his face. "Perfect. Let's see what happens when someone underestimates a human." He turned to his crew, a small but loyal team of soldiers and engineers. "Prepare for landing. Check all weapons, shields, and systems. This is going to be interesting." On Zithera, Lyra paced the arena as her engineers activated the environment. The combat space was enormous, designed to test speed, skill, and strategic thinking. Walls of crystalline glass could shift at a moment's notice. Platforms floated in the air, rising and falling unpredictably. Energy fields could block movement or redirect attacks. Every detail was designed to favor a trained Tariq warrior, and every element was a trap for the unprepared. Lyra's fingers hovered over the activation panel. Her heart raced, not from fear, of course, but from anticipation. This was what she had trained for. This was her moment. When the broadcast finally confirmed the human ship's descent, she walked to the center of the arena, her cape flowing like liquid fire behind her. "Let them come," she whispered. "Let them see what happens when a human dares to challenge a Tariq warrior." Alex's ship pierced Zethra's upper atmosphere with precision. Its sleek hull glinted under the twin suns. As it landed, the ground trembled slightly, and the city's inhabitants gathered in holographic broadcasts, eager to witness the confrontation. The ramp lowered and Alex stepped out. Unlike Lyra's imposing and ritualistic appearance, Alex wore a practical suit designed for mobility, survival, and adaptability. Every pocket, every strap, every device on his body had a purpose. Lyra's first impression was unexpected. This human looked calm, even confident. No trembling, no hesitation. Not afraid. That alone piqued her interest. The arena doors opened, revealing a vast open space with shifting platforms and glowing energy barriers. Lyra walked toward the center, her boots clicking against the crystalline floor. Alex followed, surveying the environment carefully. Every detail mattered: the angle of the walls, the positioning of the platforms, the energy fields humming faintly in the air. "Human," Lyra called, her voice echoing through the arena. "Do you know what you have done?" "You have challenged me, Princess Lyra of the Tariq Empire. No human has ever survived even a single minute against me. I will finish this before you can even think of a strategy." Alex gave a small, confident smile. "Good to know. I was hoping for a challenge." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Do not mistake bravery for skill. I will show you the difference." And with that, the duel began. Lyra moved first, her body a blur of speed and precision. Each strike was meant to end the fight instantly, a lethal dance honed over years of relentless training. Alex dodged, but not like any ordinary human would. He twisted, ducked, and used the environment to his advantage, bouncing off walls and sliding under platforms in ways that seemed almost instinctual. The crowd of Tariq warriors and citizens watched in shock. This human, this fragile-looking creature, was surviving. Not just surviving, but adapting to every move, predicting patterns and avoiding attacks with a fluidity that no machine or Tariq warrior could have anticipated. Lyra's smirk faltered ever so slightly. How could a human do this? How could one species so underestimated endure even for a few moments against a warrior of her caliber? "Interesting," she murmured, more to herself than to Alex. "You might actually last longer than I expected." Alex didn't respond. He simply kept moving, observing Lyra's patterns, looking for even the smallest opening. In his mind, every action, every reaction, every flaw was a potential advantage. Humans were known for improvisation, for turning impossible situations into opportunities. Lyra's attacks were deadly but predictable, trained, honed, and precise. And Alex would use that against her. The duel continued, the arena shaking with their movements. Platforms rose and fell, energy barriers sparked and hummed. Lyra unleashed a flurry of strikes, each faster than the last, each calculated to end the fight immediately. Alex ducked, dodged, and countered with moves that were not designed to hit, but to confuse, to create openings, and to survive. Minutes passed, not seconds. Lyra, who had never spent more than a few heartbeats on a human opponent, found herself reevaluating her strategy. Each time she thought she had Alex cornered, he adapted. Each time she tried to predict his movement, he surprised her with human creativity. By the time the first round ended, Alex was slightly bruised and scratched, but still standing. Lyra, for the first time, felt the sting of frustration. This one human, had not only survived, but had forced her to think, to adapt, to consider possibilities she had never imagined. "Not bad. Human," Lyra said, her voice carrying a mixture of respect and disbelief. "You have survived longer than any human should. But the next round, I will finish you." Alex simply nodded. "We'll see." And with that, part one closed, setting the stage for a duel that would challenge not just strength, but ingenuity, adaptability, and the very assumptions that a proud alien warrior had about humans. The air in the arena buzzed with tension. The first round had ended, but neither combatant had emerged victorious. Lyra's amber eyes glowed with a mix of irritation and curiosity. She had expected the human to falter within seconds, yet here he stood, seemingly calm and ready for more. Alex Mercer wiped a thin line of sweat from his brow, his breathing steady despite the rapid pace of the fight. He had expected the challenge to be difficult, but the level of skill displayed by Lyra was staggering. Every move was precise, almost perfect, but predictable in ways a human mind could exploit. He had survived the first round by relying not on brute strength, but on adaptability, observation, and quick thinking. Lyra circled him like a predator, her every movement a blend of elegance and deadly precision. "Human," she said, her voice echoing in the arena. "You have survived longer than I anticipated, but do not think this will continue. You are still fragile, weak. One mistake and it ends." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Fragile, maybe. Weak, not so much. I can last a lot longer than you think." Lyra's lips twitched into a smirk, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. This human, so small, so ordinary looking, was showing a strength she had never encountered. Not physical strength, but mental. He was clever, unpredictable, adaptable. The best Tariq warriors had the skill to fight, but they lacked this human quality: improvisation. The second round began. This time Lyra increased the difficulty. The arena shifted, walls moving and platforms rising and falling. Energy barriers flickered unpredictably, creating zones that could trap, push, or even injure an unwary fighter. Lyra believed these changes would reveal the human's weaknesses immediately. She charged. Her speed was blinding, her strikes precise. Alex ducked under a sweep of her blade and used a nearby wall to pivot, avoiding a second strike aimed at his chest. He rolled, landing behind a floating platform, and quickly assessed the new environment. Every surface, every shadow, every energy fluctuation was now part of his strategy. The crowd of Tariq citizens and warriors watched in awe and disbelief. A human surviving in a fully dynamic arena, moving with awareness, adapting to each change as though he had trained for years on Zithara itself. It was impossible. Yet Alex moved with confidence, as if he belonged there. Lyra realized she needed more than raw speed. She began predicting his movements, trying to anticipate his next step. But Alex was different from any opponent she had faced. He didn't move in patterns. He didn't rely on brute force. Instead, he used the arena itself as a weapon, redirecting energy fields, ducking under shifting platforms, and even using debris as makeshift shields. At one point, Lyra's blade slammed into a platform Alex had just vacated. Sparks flew as the edge of her weapon met solid crystal. Alex leapt from the platform's edge, landing lightly and flipping backward, narrowly avoiding a falling energy pillar. The crowd gasped. Even Lyra's warriors could not move with such precise timing under pressure. "Not bad," Lyra admitted, her voice low. "You are faster than I expected, and you anticipate better than I thought possible." Alex kept moving, dodging another rapid strike. "Thanks, I've had to improvise before." Humans learn fast under pressure. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She had never met an opponent who did not panic when faced with danger. Tariq warriors were taught to trust their instincts and training above all else. But this human? He relied on observation, calculation, and creativity. He adapted on the fly. He learned. The battle continued, moving across platforms and walls, through energy fields and shifting floors. Lyra's attacks became more complex, combining speed, strength, and strategic traps designed to end the duel quickly. Yet Alex was always one step ahead, not by raw power, but by using his surroundings, predicting hazards, and creating openings where none existed. At one point, Lyra attempted a direct strike aimed to overwhelm Alex's defenses. He twisted in midair, using the platform beneath him to redirect her momentum. She barely managed to stop herself, her blade scraping against a wall with a high-pitched screech. Alex landed behind her, ready to strike, but instead he only nodded, showing restraint. Lyra paused, surprised. "You could have struck," she said, almost in disbelief. "Why didn't you?" Alex smiled faintly. "Sometimes survival is more important than victory. You teach me, I teach you." Lyra's smirk faded, replaced by genuine curiosity. This human was teaching her something, through survival, through movement, through strategy. She had always been the student and the master, the one who learned and the one who won. But Alex was different. The arena shifted again, platforms rotated, energy barriers sparked unpredictably, and walls moved in patterns designed to trap the unwary. Lyra pushed herself harder, her movements faster and more precise. Yet no matter how hard she tried, Alex remained just out of reach, adapting to every change, using the hazards as allies rather than obstacles. Minutes passed, yet neither fighter gained a decisive advantage. The first round had ended quickly, but this second encounter stretched the limits of endurance, skill, and creativity. Lyra realized something extraordinary. This human was not only surviving, he was thriving under pressure. "Impossible," she whispered, shaking her head slightly. She had never met a creature who could think this fast, adapt this well, and use unpredictability as a weapon. Tariq warriors were precise, disciplined, and lethal, but rigid. They could follow patterns, anticipate tactics, and perfect techniques, but humans were chaos in motion, clever and adaptable in ways she could not predict. Alex observed her movements carefully, noting the slight hesitation, the predictable flicker in her eyes when she adjusted her strategy. He understood that Lyra's skill was unmatched, but he also knew that adaptability could overcome even the greatest skill. He moved with purpose, exploiting every tiny error, every shift in the environment, every moment of overconfidence. Suddenly, a massive energy barrier fell from above, designed to crush anyone caught beneath it. Alex slid under it at the last moment, his hands brushing against the glowing surface, feeling the heat but avoiding injury. Lyra moved to strike him, but he had already used the platform's tilt to swing behind her. "You are fast," Lyra admitted, a hint of respect in her voice. "But speed alone cannot win this fight." Alex shook his head. "No, not speed. Thinking, adapting, surviving. That's how humans fight." Lyra blinked. This was a concept she had never truly understood. Strength, skill, precision, these were the measures of a warrior. But Alex introduced something new. Intelligence under pressure, adaptability, creativity. A human could survive by outthinking, not just outfighting. An opponent. The battle reached its peak as the arena's hazards combined. A rotating platform, a collapsing wall, and a swinging energy pillar created a deadly puzzle. Lyra struck with all her might, aiming to end the duel. Alex ducked, rolled, and jumped between platforms, narrowly avoiding disaster. He used the swinging pillar to launch himself upward, spinning in midair, and landed safely on the opposite side. The crowd held its breath. No human should have survived this. No human should have matched Lyra's skill under such conditions. Yet Alex stood, bruised but alive, watching Lyra carefully. Lyra's chest heaved slightly, a sign of exertion she rarely showed. She realized the truth. This human was not ordinary. He was something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something unpredictable. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt a mix of respect, curiosity, and challenge. She was not sure who would win in the next round. But she knew one thing. The fight was far from over. And the human was not just surviving. He was teaching her a lesson about adaptability, resilience, and the unpredictability of life itself. As the second round ended, both fighters paused, observing each other. The arena, though damaged from their movements, stood as a testament to the intensity of their encounter. Lyra's voice, now softer but still confident, echoed across the space. "You are stronger than I imagined, human. But the fight is not over. The next round will decide who truly adapts, who truly survives." Alex nodded, a small smile on his face. "I'm ready. Let's see how far this goes." And with that, part 2 closed, leaving both combatants and the spectators in awe. The duel had become more than a test of strength. It was a contest of skill, intelligence, and adaptability. A battle that would challenge everything Lyra thought she knew about humans, and everything Alex believed about survival in an alien world. The arena hummed with energy as the third round began. The air was thick with tension, and every spectator in the holographic broadcasts held their breath. Princess Lyra's amber eyes glimmered with both determination and a hint of doubt. She had expected this human to falter, to break under pressure. Yet Alex Mercer was still standing, still moving, still surviving. Lyra had decided to raise the stakes. The arena transformed before their eyes, shifting into a more complex and dangerous configuration. Platforms rotated in three-dimensional patterns, walls moved unpredictably, and energy fields sparked at random intervals. Hazards fell from above, while the floor itself seemed to twist and shift. Every element was designed to challenge not only a warrior's skill, but their ability to think and react under extreme pressure. "This will test you, human," Lyra said, her voice carrying across the arena. "If you survive this, I will be impressed. If you fail, it will be your last mistake." Alex observed the changing environment carefully. He had seen hazards before, and he had faced threats far more deadly in his career. But what impressed him most about Zithra's arena was its adaptability. Every obstacle could be used against an opponent, but only if one thought quickly. Alex adjusted the straps on his suit, making sure his gadgets were ready. Every tool, every device, every bit of preparation mattered. Lyra attacked first. Her movements were a blur, faster than any human eye could follow. She leapt from one rotating platform to another, strikes aimed with precision and speed. Energy fields arced toward Alex, and crystalline walls shifted to block escape routes. It was a deadly puzzle meant to overwhelm, but Alex did not panic. Instead, he observed. He noticed patterns in Lyra's movements, tiny repetitions that she thought were undetectable. He saw the way the platforms rotated and how the energy fields flickered in sequence. Using these insights, he began to move with calculated precision, slipping through openings that seemed impossible, avoiding strikes that should have ended him. The crowd gasped as Alex flipped over a rising platform, grabbed a small crystalline shard, and used it to redirect an energy field, sending it harmlessly into the wall. Lyra paused mid-strike, shocked at his ingenuity. "What?" she muttered. No human had ever done this before. Alex landed lightly, readying himself for the next move. "You didn't account for creativity," he said, his tone calm, almost teasing. "Humans are good at using what others think is useless." Lyra's eyes narrowed. Creativity? Adaptability? These were qualities her warriors lacked because they relied on strict training and discipline. She realized, with a mixture of frustration and awe, that Alex's strength did not come from raw power or skill alone. It came from unpredictability. He did not follow patterns. He invented them on the fly. The duel intensified. Platforms shifted faster, energy fields sparked more aggressively, and walls moved with chaotic precision. Lyra struck with relentless speed, each blow calculated to overwhelm. Alex dodged, rolled, and leveraged the environment in ways she had never seen. He used falling debris as shields, tilted platforms to redirect momentum, and even timed jumps to ride energy pulses across the arena. At one point, Lyra tried to corner him against a wall that was collapsing inward. She moved swiftly, expecting him to panic, but Alex anticipated her move. He ran toward the falling wall, pushed off a nearby platform, and launched himself over her, landing safely on another moving platform. The audience gasped. Even Lyra's elite warriors would have been crushed in that situation. "You're unpredictable," Lyra admitted, her voice tight with frustration. "No human should survive this." Alex's lips curled into a faint smile. "Predictable is boring. Humans thrive on surprises. That's how we survive." Lyra blinked. He was right. She had never faced an opponent who could think so differently. Every human she had ever fought or even heard of had relied on speed, power, or brute force. Alex relied on something else: strategy, adaptation, and unpredictability. The battle continued, each movement pushing both warriors to their limits. Lyra's strikes were faster, more complex, and more lethal. Alex responded not with strength alone, but with intelligence, improvisation, and timing. He used the arena itself as a tool, creating openings where none existed, turning traps into advantages, and surviving strikes that should have ended him instantly. As the round progressed, Lyra began to notice something else. Alex was not just surviving. He was learning. Every strike, every shift, every move he observed gave him insight into her patterns. He adjusted almost instantly, changing tactics mid-fight in ways that would have stunned even the most advanced Tariq warriors. "This human, he's learning from me," Lyra muttered under her breath, a mixture of irritation and fascination in her voice. "No human should be able to do this. It's impossible." Alex, on the other hand, saw patterns in her movements that even she did not notice. He realized that Lyra's incredible skill came with one flaw: predictability in her perfection. She was so trained, so disciplined, that she expected her opponent to react in specific ways. Alex did not react as expected. He created opportunities where there were none, used hazards to his advantage, and forced Lyra to adjust faster than she ever had. A particularly dangerous hazard descended: a series of swinging energy blades meant to slice anything caught beneath. Lyra assumed Alex would try to dodge them conventionally. Instead, he timed his movements perfectly, using the swinging blades as platforms to vault higher, turning the hazard into a path. Lyra struck at him mid-air, but he twisted and landed safely behind her. For the first time, Lyra felt the thrill of uncertainty. She had never faced an opponent whose moves she could not fully predict. Every strike, every maneuver was a question mark. Every decision carried risk, and yet she could not stop herself from feeling exhilarated. "You're good," she said, her voice low, almost reluctantly. "Better than I imagined." "Thanks," Alex replied. "I've had to survive tough situations before." Humans aren't used to being predictable. We adapt, we improvise, we survive. Lyra realized he was teaching her something without saying it. Survival did not always come from strength or skill alone. Sometimes it came from thinking differently, using what others overlook and staying calm under pressure. This was a lesson no warrior on Zithara had ever taught her. The arena grew even more chaotic. Platforms rotated faster, energy fields sparked unpredictably, and walls moved with dangerous speed. Lyra unleashed a relentless barrage, testing every skill she had honed over years. Alex responded with careful observation, strategic movement, and clever improvisation. He ducked, dodged, jumped, and used every element of the arena to survive. At one point, Lyra attempted a maneuver designed to trap him completely, blocking all exits and striking from above. Alex froze for a heartbeat, analyzing the situation. Then, with lightning-fast reasoning, he used a tilted platform to redirect one of the energy barriers, creating a temporary bridge and leaping over her attack. The audience erupted in awe. Never before had a human moved with such confidence and creativity in a Taric combat arena. Lyra, meanwhile, felt a mix of irritation and admiration. She had underestimated this human. She had assumed predictability. She had assumed weakness, and she had been wrong. As the round came to a close, both fighters paused, breathing heavily but standing tall. Lyra's amber eyes glimmered with respect, a rare emotion for a warrior princess raised to dominate. Alex's calm demeanor and calculated movements had forced her to rethink everything she believed about humans. "You are remarkable," Lyra admitted quietly, almost to herself. "I have never met anyone like you." Alex nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "You're not so bad yourself. Fast, you strong, smart, but maybe a little too confident." Lyra's lips twitched into the faintest of smiles. Confidence had always been her greatest strength, but now she realized it could also be a weakness if she underestimated an opponent. Alex, despite being human, had shown her that strength could take many forms. Not just physical power, but adaptability, creativity, and resilience under pressure. The crowd watched in stunned silence. The human had survived yet another round, not by brute force, but by being unpredictable, clever, and adaptable. Lyra realized that the duel was no longer about proving superiority. It was about testing limits, learning from each other, and discovering what it truly meant to be a warrior. As Part 3 ended, both fighters stood in the arena, battered but unbroken. Lyra's mind buzzed with new understanding. Alex's calm determination and ingenuity had forced her to reconsider everything she knew about humans. And Alex, in turn, had seen the raw skill, discipline, and pride of a warrior civilization that had underestimated his species. The stage was set for the next phase of their duel, an even greater test of adaptability, skill, and intelligence, where the true measure of strength would not be who could strike harder, but who could think faster, adapt better, and survive against the odds. The arena had become a battlefield of strategy and agility. Lyra's amber eyes glowed with determination, her every movement precise and deadly, but her thoughts were more focused than ever, not just on defeating Alex, but on understanding him. Alex Mercer moved with calm confidence, analyzing every detail of the shifting platforms, the energy barriers, and Lyra's movements. Unlike before, he now anticipated her strikes almost instinctively. He had learned to read her subtle cues, the slight twitch of her wrist, the set of her shoulders, the rhythm of her footwork. But despite his growing skill, Lyra's attack still demanded his full attention. One mistake and it would be over. The duel paused briefly as both fighters evaluated each other, breathing heavily. Lyra's pride pushed her forward. She had never met a human who could survive her tactics, let alone anticipate them. Yet something about Alex intrigued her. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't reckless. He was precise, patient, and adaptable, a rare combination. "You fight well," Lyra admitted, her voice softer than before. "Faster than I expected, smarter than I imagined. But don't think this will last." Alex smiled faintly. "I've survived worse, but you're teaching me a lot too." Lyra tilted her head, slightly surprised. Teaching? Humans could learn, yes, but to teach a Tariq warrior? That was unusual. Before she could respond, a sudden alarm blared. The arena's surveillance panels lit up, showing movement near the outer gates of the palace. A rogue faction of the Tariq Empire had infiltrated the complex, intending to eliminate Alex before the duel concluded. They believed no human should last this long and saw Alex as a threat to the Empire's pride. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She had always fought to defend her honor, but this was different. These were her own people, breaking the rules of combat and strategy. She realized that to protect both the duel's integrity and the human she now respected, she had to act. "Alex," she called, her tone sharp but cooperative. "We have a problem. They intend to attack you. We need to move." Alex's expression remained calm. "Then we fight together. The arena doors opened, revealing a squad of elite Tariq soldiers. They were heavily armed, moving in synchronized precision to overwhelm Alex. But they were not expecting Lyra's intervention. With swift movements, Lyra engaged the soldiers, her attacks flawless and decisive. Alex moved in tandem, using his human ingenuity to counter their strategies. He set traps with energy barriers, redirected debris, and exploited the soldiers' predictable tactics. Together, Lyra and Alex became an unstoppable team, a blend of raw power and clever improvisation. Despite the chaos, Lyra noticed something she had never felt before, a sense of respect for this human. He adapted under pressure, stayed calm, and even helped her anticipate new threats. For the first time, she realized that humans were not weak. They were capable of unexpected brilliance. The battle raged across the palace corridors, with both Lyra and Alex displaying unmatched skill. Energy barriers sparked, walls shifted, and platforms collapsed under the pressure of combat. Yet the human never faltered, and the warrior princess never lost focus. At the climax, Lyra and Alex cornered the rogue faction in a large chamber. Using combined strategies, they forced the soldiers into a trap of their own making. Alex's ingenuity and Lyra's precision created a perfect synergy. The faction was captured, disarmed, and neutralized without lethal harm, a testament to the fighter's skill and restraint. After the battle, both stood in the chamber, breathing heavily but unbroken. Lyra looked at Alex, her expression a mix of awe and newfound respect. "You are remarkable," she said, almost quietly. "I never imagined a human could do this. Not just survive, but work with me, learn, adapt." Alex shook his head with a faint smile. "You're not so bad yourself. Fast, strong, smart, and you didn't underestimate me in the end. That counts for a lot." For the first time, Lyra felt a spark of something unfamiliar, a mutual respect born from shared challenge and survival. She realized that the duel was no longer just about proving who was stronger. It had become a journey of understanding, learning, and acknowledging the value of each other's strengths. The arena awaited the next round, but both fighters now carried a sense of camaraderie. Their rivalry had evolved. They were no longer just opponents, they were equals in skill, creativity, and resilience. As the sun set over Zithra, painting the crystalline city in hues of gold and crimson, Lyra and Alex prepared for the next phase of the duel. The challenges ahead would test their limits even further, but they now faced them not as adversaries alone, but as warriors who had discovered the extraordinary potential in each other. The arena had transformed into a vast, multi-level battlefield. Platforms floated in midair, energy barriers crackled unpredictably, and walls shifted in chaotic patterns. The final duel was no longer just a test of skill. It was a test of endurance, adaptability, and intelligence. Princess Lyra stood at the center, her amber eyes burning with focus. She had learned much from the human Alex Mercer, and she no longer underestimated him. Every move he made was precise, every reaction calculated, every tactic a blend of human ingenuity and survival instinct. She knew this would be the most challenging duel of her life. Alex surveyed the arena carefully. He understood that raw strength alone would not win this battle. Survival meant thinking faster, adapting to every hazard, and using the environment to his advantage. He had learned from Lyra's movements, and she had learned from his unpredictability. This duel would be the ultimate test, not just of skill, but of creativity and adaptability. The duel began. Lyra moved first, striking with blinding speed. Alex dodged, flipped, and rolled across platforms, using energy barriers to redirect her attacks. Sparks flew as their weapons clashed, lighting up the arena in bursts of blue and gold. This time the duel was more than a contest of reflexes. Lyra had designed complex sequences of attacks and environmental hazards, meant to overwhelm and test the limits of endurance. Alex responded with ingenuity, improvising with debris, exploiting gaps in her tactics, and using the shifting platforms to maintain balance and momentum. At one point, Lyra attempted a strike from above, aiming to finish the duel decisively. Alex anticipated the move, using a tilted platform to launch himself into the air. He spun mid-flight, striking an energy barrier to redirect its force toward Lyra. She barely deflected it in time, a rare flicker of surprise crossing her face. "You are persistent," Lyra said, her voice a mix of admiration and challenge. But persistence alone won't win this fight. Alex landed lightly, brushing off debris. I don't rely on persistence alone. I rely on thinking differently. The arena's hazards grew more intense. Walls collapsed, platforms shifted unpredictably, and energy barriers pulsed faster than before. Both fighters moved with astonishing speed and precision, each adapting instantly to the other's tactics. What had begun as a test of strength had evolved into a dance of skill, strategy, and intelligence. Lyra struck again, faster this time, combining multiple attacks with the shifting platforms and energy hazards. Alex anticipated one strike, dodged another, and used a falling shard to block a third. He moved with fluidity, turning potential danger into opportunity, proving that adaptability could rival raw power. Minutes stretched, yet neither gained a decisive advantage. Both were pushed to their limits, breathing heavily, muscles straining, minds racing. But the duel had also become a lesson for both fighters. Lyra saw the ingenuity, resilience, and creativity of a human, while Alex understood the discipline, precision, and strength of a warrior civilization. Finally, the climax arrived. Lyra launched a coordinated assault, combining every skill, every tactic she had mastered. Alex, reading her movements, adjusted instinctively. Using a tilted platform, he redirected an energy field, propelling himself upward and striking Lyra's flank. Not to harm, but to test her reflexes. She parried just in time, realizing that this duel was more than combat. It was a mutual test of limits, learning, and adaptation. Breathing heavily, Lyra stepped back. Enough, she said quietly. I understand now. Humans are not weak. You are adaptable, clever, and resilient in ways I could not have imagined. You have survived against me, not by strength alone, but by creativity and intelligence. Alex nodded, equally winded but smiling faintly. And you, Lyra, are more than skillful. You are disciplined, powerful, and impressive. I've learned from you, too. The audience erupted in applause, not for a victor, but for the extraordinary display of skill, intelligence, and adaptability. The duel had become a symbol, a proof that underestimating a human could be the greatest mistake any species could make. Lyra extended her hand, a gesture of respect and acknowledgement. Alex took it, shaking firmly. The duel was over, not with a clear winner, but with mutual respect, understanding, and recognition of each other's strengths. As the twin suns of Zithara set behind the crystalline towers, Lyra and Alex stood side by side. The princess had discovered the extraordinary potential of a human, while the human had experienced the precision and discipline of a warrior civilization. The galaxy now knew a truth it had never fully grasped. Humans were not to be underestimated, and so the duel ended, not in defeat, but in the celebration of skill, intelligence, and the extraordinary possibilities that arose when two warriors challenged each other to be their very best.